These are guys that are really, really busy, especially in the beginning. I just want you to prioritize a calorie number for now, because the more metrics I give you, the more time it's going to take for you to understand those things, plan them, prep them, or find sources for them. And if this is somebody that wants to get the ball rolling early, that first biggest rock.
One of the tactics that I use with my guys who are like that is from the Herbalife 101 rulebook. I get a meal. Their lunchtime is generally going to be like, say it's 600 to 800 calories a day. Well, I'll take that meal.
If you can invest 3 hours a week or 4 hours a week into yourself, your productivity during the hours that you are busy.
I'm Ryan Stevens.
Dr. Taylor Waters.
I'm Ben Oliver.
Welcome to the Supra Human show, yeah?
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Supra Human show with your host, Ben Oliver, joined by the doc, Taylor Waters, and special guest,
LL Cool J.
Cool J. You may have heard some of his songs, seen some of his movies. We've now got him on the Supra staff.
Yeah. He's got rapper turned actor turned coach.
Multi-talented guy, man. Do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. But anyway, we have Kidane, one of the senior coaches of Supra Human, on the show. And I think you're the perfect guest to have on this one, relating to the topic that we're going to talk about, which is time poor, goal rich. So when you have clients who they will, the first conversation you have with them is, I don't have time. And so immediately you're thinking of like minimal effective dose. What's the least amount of things I can have this person do, the least amount of attention I need them to pay to still get them reasonably quick results, not just slow, steady, because again, they're typically the people that get frustrated really fast as well. So they got no time, but it's like they're also impatient. So you want things to move fast, but they're not the guys that are like, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it. Right. You need me to train 6 days, I'll do 6 days. They're the opposite.
You're looking for biggest return on investment.
Yeah.
So what behaviors can I take that are going to give me the biggest ROI?
Yeah.
So I can make progress with the limited time that I have.
So if we'll break it into nutrition first, and then we'll look at training, and then any kind of supporting habits or behaviors that we want them to kind of adopt, and then we can just kind of summarize it. So if we go nutrition first, so like say you've got an onboarding call with me, and I say, I'm always the reason I'm not in shape is because I just don't have time, and those are the words that I say to you, and then you say, I'm looking to, I don't want to train more than 3 days a week. I really don't have time to work out, but I'll do it if I have to. But yeah, I don't have time to prep my meals. I've never tracked my food before. Like, we'll go like, what thoughts are you thinking in your head? Because what you think versus what you say to someone is always going to be a bit different.
Yes.
But then it's like, what are your first thoughts of like, what kind of person am I working with? And then also, what's going to come out of your mouth on that initial conversation, knowing that, they've just signed up to our program. We want them to like the program and like you. And then how are you going to start to construct their plan from that conversation?
Yeah, and that's very common with a lot of the people that do come to us, because these are people that are hyper performers in other areas. They're really busy. They have a lot going on. Maybe it be multiple businesses, kids, spouses. So a lot of them are in the predicament where they think they don't have the amount of time they need. And what I'm thinking, you can hear somebody say, I don't have time, but they can have different intentions behind it. You can hear somebody say, I don't have time, and you can tell that they want to find a way to have time. And you can hear somebody say, I don't have time, where they don't want to figure out how they can have time. So if it's somebody where I can tell that they don't want to figure out how they can have time, I really want to get them to flip their perspective on what it means to have time, right? Because people have this idea that having time means having this plush 4 hours to plan meals, and I get to train for 2 hours. When if our goal is fat loss, the amount of time you need to efficiently do that doesn't mean do it optimally, but to be able to make consistent progress is not as much time as you need. So the first thing I want to do with that person is say, okay, well, let's run through your day. What time do you wake up? What time do you go to bed? And let's kind of assign what happens on every hour. That's what I say. My thought process is, this is going to be fun. This is gonna be fun. Yeah. So that's my first thought process is we need to, because again, no matter what I say, from a belief standpoint, if they don't believe it's going to work, it won't matter.
Yeah.
So the first thing I'm thinking is we have to shift your perspective on what have time means and get you to understand that the amount of time you think you need to have might not necessarily be true for the results you want. You might be able to deal with having a lot less time.
Well, at the end of the day, they haven't got themselves in shape before. So they don't know what time is required to get the job done. So when they say, I don't have time, it's like, well, you don't know how much time you need. So let's figure out, like we need to start going down the path first. So
Right.
let's start mapping out exactly what time you do have. Because I think some people, they use it as an out as well. It's
sure.
like, I'm not willing to get the job done. And I'm going to blame it on my lack of time. So it's like, okay, well, again, let's see what time you have. Then we can start looking at the resources we have available, and we can start slotting that into the time to get the biggest ROI.
Right, because what I want to do is I want to take away the ability for this conversation to be subjective. So when you say I don't have time, you might show me something and I might say you have plenty of time, while you still might not think that's time. But if we can assign 7 a.m. is this, 8 a.m. is this, 9 a.m. is this, 10 a.m. is this, then it takes the feeling or the emotion or the subjectivity out of it. And if we base whatever you do on these objective things, then it takes that out of the equation. But back to what you were saying in terms of a lot of guys don't think they have time, I think that has a lot to do with what they compare it to. And in the age of social media and all these jack guys and everybody says, oh, The Rock should be huge. That's all he does all day, every day. And they say, I don't have that kind of time. Well, it's like, no, I don't either.
He's up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Have you
I
seen
don't
The
do
Rock's
that either.
schedule? I don't think he's got loads of time available to him. He does like 7 movies at a time.
He's probably got 2 or 3 assistants literally like around him being like, you need to go here now. This is where you need to eat breakfast now. In 10 minutes, you need to get in the car.
Right.
And it's like they like guide his whole day.
day.
Otherwise he didn't get it done.
And they compare it to a lot of guys that have the ideal scenario, and they think if I don't have that, I can't get what I want. And that's really far from the truth.
Like a point that you made where, if someone says they don't have time, you could always just ask the question, it's like, tell me how much time you believe this would take per week. And if they go, well, I don't know, that's why I've signed up. It's like, so how do you know you don't have enough time?
Right.
Because if I turn around and said, well, it takes 10 minutes, then you're like, oh, I've got 10 minutes.
Right.
It's like, I'm not saying it's 10 minutes, but you don't even know the amount of time. But then the idea they have in their head is probably based off someone they know that's in shape, that works out every day and, meal preps on a Sunday. And so their entire belief is around, well, the majority of people that I know that are in shape do it this way. It's like, it doesn't mean that's the right way or that's the only way, but that's where they've got that perception from. But then, like, again, when we speak about this with with how we coach and things, where we're not here to butt heads with clients on that initial call, and we are aware of the beliefs that need to get broken, but we're not going to try and just immediately snap them on the initial call. And we're always kind of like let's see, let's collect some more data, like you said. Let's go through the schedule. Let's see how a week looks. And let's see what your behaviors are versus what you say they are. And then you can start to kind of put together the plan. But if you want to jump in?
The thing is, though, it's also, and we're not saying that they're completely wrong. Like, oh, actually, they've got loads of time. They do have limited time.
Right.
Like,
for sure.
At the end of the day, if you run a business, have kids, the chances are your time is quite valuable. Yeah, you haven't got a load of time. But again, until we really establish how much time you do have, we can't make the call saying I have no time.
Right. And that's why the first thing I want to do is say, okay, like, totally get it. You do have a lot going on. Let's figure out what I don't have time looks like on a day-to-day basis.
And so if we, let's just say we kind of push that kind of that client case study aside and say minimal effective dose. Like, let's just say we are looking at this client has the least amount of time possible to get the results. What would that look like from a nutrition standpoint? Like, what are the biggest rocks that you're going to have them do to get, like, we'll say for fat loss? What are you going to have them prioritize or kind of apply to their nutrition? Like, let's say you've collected the initial data and it's like, here is your plan. What are you looking at, like, from a a calorie standpoint, a meal plan standpoint, like
Mhm.
what are you telling them to prioritize in that sense?
Yeah. So if these are guys that are really, really busy, especially in the beginning, I just want you to prioritize a calorie number for now, right? Because the more metrics I give you, the more time it's going to take for you to understand those things, plan them, prep them, or find sources for them. And if this is somebody that wants to get the ball rolling early, that first biggest rock from a nutrition standpoint is understanding if we can get you to eat less food, you will start to lose fat, right? So I want to focus on calories first. And from a frequency standpoint, I really want frequency to be fairly low because you're not going to be the person that can eat 5 times a day, right? Maybe in the morning if you are hungry, and if you're not hungry, wait until you're hungry to eat. Most people aren't big on breakfast anyway. People tend to scale up the calories, the average person, towards the end of the day anyway. So let's focus on having dinner. And if you want a meal before then, let's start to quantify what that could, should, would, maybe might look like. And we can deal on dinner on the back end. But I'm primarily would encourage low meal frequency because a lot of people think they have to eat 5 times a day. And I'm not overcomplicating what metrics we're shooting for. Let's just focus on eating less for right now.
Yeah. I think I do like a fasting style diet for really, really busy people. Like, again, if they say, I don't have time to eat, and I'm like, well, you're eating at some point.
You've definitely found
fucking
time.
300
You've
pounds.
definitely,
Like, you're finding a way to somehow consume energy. And so all we need to look at is when are you doing that?
Right.
And what are you eating? And then we can change it kind of thing. And sometimes it may be like they stop at drive-thrus on the way home because they got no time to prep food or whatever. And I said, what would you order? Cool. Just half that. Half that order.
No fries.
Stop eating 2 Whoppers, have 1.
Yeah.
Like, and it could be something as simple as that, like right out of the gate. And then, I would go lower on the meal frequency. If someone's really busy, I do favor like a meal plan as opposed to like, I want you to, there's obviously a calorie target, but I might say like, you're going to do 2 shakes and a piece of fruit each, and then your dinner, you've got a calorie budget of X. Because it's like I want to take out any bandwidth that they have to think
Any
about.
cognitive,
Yeah, because realistically, I'm like, these probably aren't going to be the guys that are opening up MyFitnessPal and planning their day, or even looking at nutrition labels. So I'm going to be like, how do I make this like idiot proof?
Yeah.
And it would
less
be like
choices.
Yeah,
Yes.
like wake up, have a protein shake like at 10 a.m. Like between 2 and 4, have a protein shake or a chicken salad and a piece of fruit. Dinner. Like you are going to have to like track something to an extent, but you've got like a 1,500 calorie budget or 1,000 calorie budget. So it's like a combination of like a meal plan and a bit of flexibility.
Well, think if you're someone who clearly has the perception that they have very limited time, if you then put on their plate, they've got to make several decisions about several meals over the course of a week and over the course of a day, that's going to come across so overwhelming.
They're going to be stressed
like,
out.
You've just doubled my workload and I was already really busy. So it's like, okay, let's look to take control over their caloric intake, as you said, but with making as little decision as possible. So if you lean into like a meal plan, you've made that decision for them. So they haven't had to make a decision.
Right.
Or then again, you've said things like protein shake and fruit. They need no prep time. Really convenient, super easy to
The
get
barrier
there.
to entry super low.
Yeah.
So you haven't even measured any tracking yet. Again, tracking does take time, and it takes, especially if they haven't done it before, it's a skill that they need to learn. That is overwhelming if you're someone who already feels like you have limited time. So you're just looking to make it as simple and easy to follow as possible to get the immediate result, isn't it?
And because of that, like when those skills and things, I still want them to learn long term. But then when they start seeing results, they suddenly have more time and they want to work out more and they want to spend more time on this stuff. So it's like you really did have the time. You just weren't prioritizing it.
Right.
But you're only willing to give it the time when you start seeing a return on your investment. And so I'm like, how do I get you a really quick return? It's almost like, how do I like show you that Bitcoin's going up in 2 days and then be like, oh, tell me more. And then it's like, welcome. And it's like getting them to actually buy in and then want to pay more attention. Then you can start looking at like macro targets and you know, maybe increasing training frequency and
Down
stuff
the
like
road.
that. But it's like initially, it's going to be like a pretty heavy calorie deficit and just a really simple like plan. Not too like, I don't want to like put it next to something like fucking Herbalife or something, but it's like 2 shakes in a meal. It's it's an aggressive calorie deficit that's like the R word proof.
Yeah, 1,000%. One of the ways I make a meal plan sound attractive when I am trying to get to that point with a guy is I say, look, this is what we're going to do to put your nutrition on autopilot.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to worry about it.
Yep.
It's going to be predictable, repeatable process. And that's what we want. The more we have a predictable, repeatable process, the less you have to think about it and deal with it. And they're like, oh, it sounds great.
Yeah.
It's like protein shakes, dude. They're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was, as you were talking then, before you said the Herbalife, I was like, one of the tactics that I use with my guys who are like that is from the Herbalife 101 rule book. It's like, I get a meal, which their lunchtime is generally going to be like, say it's 600 to 800 calories a day. Well, I'll take that meal, I'll put a protein shake there, and I'll put an apple. Now that 600 to 800 calorie meal
300.
has become a 300 calorie meal.
Right.
Boom, 500, and I've won it for them there. And they've literally had to do nothing apart from Amazon delivery, a bag of protein, get some apples in, done.
and call it a day.
So it's like, I've taken up none of your time, 0 of your time. If anything, I've saved you time because now you're not driving to Barry Bagels or whatever it's called to get your big egg cheese bagel.
Yeah.
Now you just get your protein shake in the morning and you leave the house. So I've not only have I helped your diet, I've bought you back some of that time that you're so struggling for as well.
a little bit of money too. Huh?
Yeah. So now we're win-win-win.
So, yeah, I mean, so essentially with nutrition, we're looking at like the most simplistic plan, closer to a meal plan than a flexible style initially, and then kind of building to that, and just a decent calorie deficit that's just like very, very easy to implement. From a training standpoint, like my thoughts would always be like, well, we only need to train 1 to 2 times a week to maintain muscle. Now, if they say I want to get jacked, but I don't have time to train, then I'm like, I would have to address the realistic expectations and say, well, you're going to probably have to invest a bit more time into this if you really want to see the results. But if someone's goal is to just drop body fat, they're not too bothered about being jacked. They just want to be lean and hold on to the mass they have. I'm going like 2 full body workouts a week. But I will throw in the caveat to them that it's like and this isn't true for us because like we could overtrain because we train at a high intensity. But I would say to a client like this, like the price you have to pay for only training twice a week is you have to go hard in those workouts because we can't make it up with volume. You need like, if we're doing like 2 working sets, I need you to work. Like I don't need you to be on your phone dilly-dallying. It's like if you've got 40 minutes to train, every one of those minutes needs your attention. Even your rest periods need your attention. Otherwise, like it ain't gonna work.
Yeah. So if you were would you go full body as well? If you're going like 2 sessions a week, are you full
I would
body
100% go full body.
So how would that full body session look? How are you mapping out that session?
That would depend on the individual more, especially if we're talking about somebody that doesn't have a lot of time. I would encourage some supersets.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Some supersets to save some time. And again, it'll probably make them feel a little better. They're moving a little faster, resting a little shorter. They feel like they're, doing some stuff.
They're not wasting time.
That might not
Standing
necessarily.
around.
Yeah. So I would definitely encourage some supersets to make sure that everything gets covered. But the main thing, like Ben's saying, is I'm along the same lines. If we only have 2 opportunities, we got to get the most out of these 2 opportunities to make it worth our time.
I wouldn't be opposed to a 1 upper, 1 lower. But
could do.
The issue with that is if you miss a workout, then those muscles aren't getting hit for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly. And that's why I if we're talking about 1A and 1B, for me the full body would be the 1A.
Yeah,
I would probably rely more on machines for the programming,
low
just
setup
because
time.
it's low setup time, stack loaded,
Pin loaded machines,
pin loaded machines. Less warm up required. So it's like you can get in, do a couple light sets, and then go into it. You're not going to have to do a full mobility routine to get in your squat position.
Yeah,
it's going to be leg press, leg extensions, leg curls, like a moderate rep range, 2 to 3 working sets.
Yeah.
but think if you're supersetting stuff as well. Like you could superset a Romanian deadlift with a leg extension. And what I would do as well is I wouldn't change exercises very much.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do like 2 sets of this, 2 of this, 2 of this, 2 of this, 2 of this. I do one thing, a superset, and I do 4 or 5 sets.
Yes.
So you're not, I need to set up something else now and move. It's like you could literally go, one session could be Romanian deadlift, superset with leg extensions, 5 sets of that. And the next superset is pull-ups, superset with bench press. 5 sets of that, done, out. So long. It's like done. That's a full body where you've done buys, tries, chest,
You've
back,
done everything.
quads, hams, done. It's like all the major muscle groups are being ticked off. And you could run a session like that within 25 minutes.
Yeah. I would try and use, I would still put some isolation stuff in there, but I would try and use movements that do incorporate multiple muscle groups, like a chest press. So it's like you're getting chest, shoulders, triceps. So you don't, I say you don't have to, like, it's not gonna be the end of the world if you don't do your tricep push downs. Like you're not gonna have to do your lat raises because you are getting some shoulder stimulation from it. Like if you're doing like a neutral row, you're getting some bicep in there and stuff as well. So it wouldn't just be isolation stuff because then you're having to do more work and more exercises, like you said. But yeah, that's exactly how I would do it. Like the two sessions a week, in and out in 30 to 40 minutes. And if you can't invest that, you are going to limit your rate of results, or you may risk some muscle loss. But yeah, I mean, training is pretty straightforward there. With steps is an interesting one because my initial thoughts is like, well, I'm going to capitalize on a deficit through the diet because this person likely isn't going to add a walk to their day. The only thing I'm going to maybe try and say to them is like, if they're doing calls and things like that, a desk treadmill can be a great one. Or it's like, I would say, like, is there any work that you do in your day where you don't have to be on camera and you can walk and talk? And if they're like, oh, you know, I do my morning rounds, like with my meetings with my team where I'm just on phone calls, I'm like, let's make it a habit of like anytime you're doing those calls, you're pacing
your
and you're not allowed to sit down whilst you're doing those calls. And just those little things, they do add up over time, just in terms of the extra calorie expenditure.
Oh, mate,
but like an at-home walking treadmill is a game changer.
I was just about to say, I should get commission from one of these walking pad companies. I've legit had maybe somewhere between 15 and 20 guys that are very busy, have a lot going on. Say like, I don't have time to walk. And these are guys that are on meetings all day and their step average goes from 5 to 11 or 12,000.
Easy.
Just because they put it right under their desk during meetings, maybe right before they go on lunch, before they start their work. They're popping off 10 minutes here. And then they have an hour meeting while they're walk. Another 10 minutes here. And I tell guys, it doesn't have to be like this intentional hour walking session. If you can chip away at it throughout the day, that's much better than it being 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, and you look down and you got 8,000 steps left to do.
It's, and I mean, depending on the client, because one thing which I do like with these guys is routine. And so even if they're working out 2 days a week in that slot, I almost want to make that slot available every day of the week so it's the same structure. And then it would almost be like in those times you're walking.
Capitalize on that.
And and if they don't have those slots, I may even cut the weight training session short and add some cardio.
I like that.
At the gym. One from like a health standpoint, but also it's like you're going to burn more calories in the time frame because you're just not willing to do the 10,000 steps, which takes you an hour a day or whatever.
Right.
I can get you march on a treadmill for 20 minutes after you train, get a good sweat going. We're probably going to burn a similar amount of calories.
I tell you one approach that I've liked to use as well is, you know, you see like supersetting. So like a
walk in between your sets.
Like a dual set. So like I've done it on like a C2 bike where I'll do a set of pull-ups, a minute on a C2 bike, a bench press, minute on a C2 bike, pull-ups, minute C2 bike, bench press. So you're accumulating while you're resting your upper body from the lifting. You're not doing hard cardio, but you're just moving. You're constantly moving. So you do that in like a 30-minute workout and you're going to burn a load.
I will tell you that there's a guy at my gym and he walks in circles between his sets, but like in between equipment and stuff. And he'll do like 20 laps or something. And he's done it. And I've literally said, mate, stop, you're making me fucking dizzy. Like, and it's like, you're genuinely just annoying me. Just walk, like, you're like, and every minute it's like people are trying to grab plates and having to walk around you because you're on your phone with your headphones in, just bobbing around these 3 pieces of equipment. And I'm just like, I almost want to lay traps for him, but I just see if he pays attention. But that drives me mad. So if you are going to do it, like, use a treadmill. Please. Like,
Stay out the way.
Don't walk into
That's
Stay out
why
the way.
I use the C2 bike.
Yeah.
Keep 'em out. But I tell you one thing that with these guys that I really like to encourage them to do is, because you've got things like you've got work time, because again, this is time short. You've got work time, training time, family time, leisure time, misses time. You got all these things that take up your time.
Or Mr.
Mr. Time. Mr. Time. Mr. John Time. And it's like, well, you can combine things like your exercise time and your leisure time. So, for example, if one of the things you like to do is watch your one show every Monday evening after work, get the step pad out, watch it while you're walking. Yeah. Now you've combined your exercise time and your leisure time. If you got family time, okay, well, can you get the family out for a hike? Can you get the family out can you go for a walk to a park and then have an ice cream down the park? Or can you combine family time and exercise time? Like, there's a lot of ways to condense this down so that you're not like, oh, well, I've got to choose between spending time with my family and doing some exercise. No, you can combine the two of those things.
And it's interesting when you do combine them, the adherence tends to go up. Like when you get guys to do things with their spouse or ladies to do things with their spouse, it tends to not be such a pull at that point, because they start to enjoy it because it's something that they share together. They do together. It becomes part of their routine, and things increase after that. It's very interesting to see that pattern. And these guys, and maybe some of the ladies, have never thought about just asking your partner to come with you.
An evening walk.
Yeah.
Like, I almost recommend to, unless the weather's terrible, like, to all of my clients, like, try and go for a walk with either your kids or your spouse. Because one, it's a great way to de-stress and decompress and debrief at the end of the day. It's also quality time, where you talk about whatever you want to talk about, and you're getting your steps in and stuff. And just like, people almost look forward to their evening walk, where it's like, I swear I'll get to do my debrief and kind
Therapy.
Yeah. And it becomes, it's no different than brushing your teeth, where it's like, I know I only got to do my evening walk. Like, and it's like a wind down routine. Like, I almost recommend that over a morning walk. Like, I think like that evening decompression, because a lot of our clients that are the really busy ones are super high stress as well.
For sure.
And it goes back to that belief part that you were talking about, where it's like, you're trying to get them to start prioritizing themselves and getting them to see the bigger picture of, if you can invest 3 hours a week, 4 hours a week into yourself, your productivity during the hours that you are busy doubles.
Right.
And so even though we're taking off 4 hours of your week, your output is becoming 2x in the time that you are working. So you're netting more productivity and outcome anyway.
In less time.
But it's short term. You might be a bit more tired when you're at work. You might be a bit hungry. Yeah. It might be a bit inconvenient, and because you're not seeing the return on the investment. But there's always a bigger reward if you're willing to just wait.
Well, think, if you condense all that time, how many steps do you do in an hour? 5,000?
6.
Oh, more than that. Like
6 to 7.
Yeah,
6 to 7,000 in an hour? Okay. So if you that 1 hour meeting you have in the morning with your team, you did on a walking pad. You got 6,000 there.
That's half gone.
Then
more than half.
That show you watch in the evening that you sit down with your spouse, you're on a step pad.
Yeah.
Boom, it's another hour. 12K on top of the other daily movement you do. Then you got the evening walk you do after work with the missus every day, where instead of you come home and you sit down, how was your day? And you're like, yeah, it was this. You do that walk, that's another 30 minutes. So what's that? Another 3,000. 15,000 steps up.
Yeah.
Just because, and you've taken no extra time in your day.
Right.
You were going to do the hour call, you were going to watch the hour show, and you were going to have the half hour combo with the spouse.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, well, now you've got 15,000 steps more than what you were going to do, and nothing else has changed.
And I think that's part of the strategy piece that makes this company really unique, right? I think a lot of coaches, kind of what we were talking about earlier, they push their way of doing things or how they think you should do things. And I tell guys all the time on our very early calls, I said, my job is to fit you and to mold this around you and your lifestyle. So when you ask me, what do I have to do? What should it do? I'm going to pull as much data and objectiveness from your lifestyle and try to mold it around you as much as I can, so we can change as little as we possibly have to get as many results as we can. I'm only going to change your lifestyle when I absolutely have to.
Yeah, like Ryan will always say, like, you integrate, you don't interject.
Right.
And so it's like we're trying to incorporate this into your life. And like you said, like long term, there has to be change.
Right.
Otherwise, you cannot get a different outcome. But it's going to be so gradual and as painless as possible, rather than you just got to want it more. Like you just don't prioritize.
Oh
it.
yeah, dude, just wake up 2 hours earlier.
And
you just wake up at 4. Yeah, you'll be fine.
And I think that comes with age and life experience as a coach. Because like, you know, you speak to 20-year-old me, I was that guy that's like, you just don't have the discipline. You just got to want it more.
Same.
But it's like, well, you've never had a genuinely important job that you don't want to lose, because, you know, my job was shit and I couldn't give a fuck if I got fired, because like, I'll just get another shit job. And then it's like, you don't have anyone else depending on you. You don't have a partner or kids or anything. You got all day and night to think about training and stuff, and you love it. And so now you flip the switch on that and say, well, you've got a really hectic and stressful job that you need, because you need it to provide for your spouse and your kids, because they can't fend for themselves. And you're stressed up to the eyeballs, and you don't really like training anyway. Like it's not your thing. Like maybe you like fishing or something. And so I say that like fishing's bad, but like I just don't fish myself.
I know. I
like
saw him
fishing.
pick up a little
I
bit.
love fishing. Yeah.
But it's like, so how do I get this person that doesn't like doing this thing but knows they need to, and also has a bunch of other shit they need to prioritize? So your view of that completely changes, and the first thing you feel is like empathy. And then, you know, as we kind of coach, it's like, if there's still no change, then you have to be like, look, bud, like you're gonna have to sacrifice something.
Something has to give.
I'm not saying you need to give up everything you love, you know, and get a divorce and lose your kids and lose your job to get a 6-pack. But you are maybe gonna have to buy some protein powder. And like, you're going to maybe have to get a gym membership or invest in some gym equipment at home. Like there's going to be something that you need to...
You might not be able to change your breakfast every single day.
Yeah.
It might have to be pretty repetitive
Right.
to get the job done. And, it's like, and if you're not willing to tolerate that, because like we always have this conversation, it's like, you can't just say, I want this goal. It's like, okay, well, let's understand the work that is required to get the goal. Are you willing to tolerate that?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, well, then the goal's now irrelevant.
Right.
Because
It won't matter. You won't get the outcome you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the Hormozy talks about this, and it's like for every like goal or even like trait or habit or something, like you just imagine like you're looking in a shop window and you've got like there's like a jar of patience. And it's like, I want to be more patient. It was like, well, the price tag is having to wait for a bunch of shit and learning the art of not deviating from your behaviors
For a long
to get the
time.
thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like quite a steep price. And then, you know, like fat loss. And it's like, well, the price tag is 3 hours a week and, you know, prepping some meals and following a plan. And a lot of times people are like, I really want that. And you're like, would you like to see the price tag? And they're like, no. and then you're like, well, you can't have it. And they're like, why not? And you're like, because you can't afford it. And it's like, oh, you're not willing to spend the money. And you have to look at it as like, there is a price for everything. Like, and so like, it's not that like, oh, you have to grind and sacrifice and everything, but there is a price.
Right.
It may not be expensive, but like there is a price tag with all of it. And it literally, but this is the best part, is like, you don't have to buy anything. No one's got a gun to your head. You know, even if the doc says like, hey, you don't change your habits, like you're not going to be here in 10 years. It's like, he's not saying like you need to change right now. It's like, just letting you know, like if you choose to not do anything. So there's no good or bad or right or wrong with it. It's just like, here's the thing, here's the price. Do you want to pay it? No? Sound.
Yeah.
You want to pay it? Cool. Like you're probably going to get the thing then. Like, that's it.
And I think that's one of the special things about coaching, because I think kind of a byproduct of coaching is a increase in self-awareness for the person being coached, right? And whether you consider it a good or bad thing is subjective, but I think it's a good thing when people come to terms with that price.
Yeah.
Because you can say, not willing to do that. I should change my, kind of what you were saying. I'm not willing to do that. Maybe I should have a different goal.
Yeah.
Because everybody says they want to be diced, and it's like, do you?
Yeah.
Do you really, you know? Do you know what that's like? You know?
Yeah.
And some guys will go down there for a little while. They'll say, you know what? I've lost 50 pounds. I feel great. I look great. My wife thinks I look great. I think I'm cool here. It's like perfect.
Yeah.
That's
You've won.
awesome.
You've won.
You won.
You've won the game.
Right.
Yeah. It's and that's I can say that for myself. Like I walk around pretty lean year round, but I'm not shredded. I'm not diced to the side because I know the work that it takes to get shredded year round. I'm not willing to tolerate year round.
Yeah.
But I can do it at times when I'm willing to do that work, but it's not something that I'm willing to do 12 months of the year because there's other things that I like to do and there's a way that I like to live my life. And that's something that I'm really happy with. And if someone went, oh, you're not shredded, I'm like, I know.
Even like at the moment, like pushing heavy lifts in the gym, it's like the price I pay for that is my joints hurt and my injury risk is much higher than it needs to be.
And I'll pay it every week.
Yeah, but that's it. I'm like, yeah, bill me. But double it, give it to the next person. But like, if I get injured, then I don't go, oh, this is bullshit. It's like, well, you were playing with fire to an extent, and so it's like the price you pay for chasing these big numbers is you're probably going to get hurt at some point. And then if that frightens you or you're not willing to take that risk, then chasing big numbers in the gym probably isn't for you.
Right.
And so again, it's like you look at all of it. It's like, well, how much are you willing to pay?
Yeah.
And like, what's in your budget? Like, what are you willing to, that's simply, but it's, don't complain about not getting the Ferrari when your budget's 5K.
Right.
And so it's like, well, we're going to find a car that suits your budget and make that the best car we can, the absolute finest car we can within your budget.
We'll put a private reg on that thing. We'll put a spoiler on that thing. Get some racing lines
get
on
some
it.
dice on the mirrors. But like,
Right. And
like,
and I also think another interesting thing, which we talked about very early, is the price also might not be as high as you think it is, which is why a lot of guys are saying, I don't have time, right? One of the things that I point out to a lot of guys, especially during the fat loss phase, is because a lot of guys, they'll eventually ask the question like, is this what it's like forever? And it's like, no, it's not like this forever.
Yeah.
You don't have to track forever. You can enjoy these things. You can, eat a lot of calories and have the drinks with your boys. But if this is said goal that you want in said time, there's some sacrifices that will probably have to be made temporarily so we can get here. But this isn't a forever thing.
Yeah.
So I've seen people on both sides where they look up at the price and it's higher than what they think it is. And I see guys that look down on the price and don't understand how much work it will take. It's interesting to see both.
Yeah. Again, people's perceptions can be drastically different,
Right.
but the target is the same. It's the same work required. Some people think it's going to cost way more than it actually does, and some people think it's cost way less. Like, oh, I didn't realize how easy that was. It's just different to their current perception,
Right.
isn't it? Which is why it's important to get an objective idea of what the hell's going on, because again, their perception can drastically skew the actual truth.
Right.
so I think if you were going to sum it up, and so if you're like I forget what it was, no time, big goals.
Yeah.
For these guys, we're looking at simplify your meals as much as possible.
Yeah. Convenient and repetitive.
Yeah.
If you can get it convenient,
A predictable,
and
repeatable
repetitive.
process.
Yeah.
Yes.
with a decent calorie deficit. Get a desk treadmill or an in-house walk-in treadmill. Be one of the best investments that you have, and
Cheat code.
and start to pair up your steps with other habits.
be very opportunistic
Habit
with your
stacking.
NEAT.
Habit stacking, and then 2 full body resistance training workouts a week, whether it's free weights, dumbbells, cables, machines. Stick to movements that are easy to perform, low skill requirement, decent, 3 to 5 working sets. So you're limiting your exercise selection or kind of variety.
Hard.
And
Lift hard.
and go hard, and you will. That's probably about as efficient as you can make this process. Obviously, if you want faster results, then you need to be more meticulous with certain things. If you want to build more muscle, probably some more training volume. But as far as like getting as much bang for buck, you could get pretty
That's
damn
hard to
good
beat.
results.
Yeah.
Just,
That's hard to
just
beat,
with
yeah.
that.
If you want a set of absolute pythons like these,
Yeah, yeah, you got no chance.
You forget it.
Yeah.
You forget it.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the last one. Look at the price tag and be realistic with your budget and what you're willing to pay.
I think that's the big one. Yeah.
That's probably the first one, and then you can kind of look at the rest.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us, Kidane. Hopefully,
Awesome.
you'll be on another episode in the
The most
future.
handsome man we've had on the podcast.
Oh, 100%.
All right.
We
There
have
we
to,
go.
Yeah.
when we walk around Scottsdale with Kidane, me and Taylor have got bats.
Yeah.
Just to beat away all the women that are trying to jump on him. And we're just like, get back.
Fending them off. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we turn into bodyguards whilst we're here. But anyway, be sure to like and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
If you love this show, please like, share, and leave us a 5-star review so that we can help more people. I'm John Madsen, Supra Human CEO, reminding you to always go get what's yours.